Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
20 years ago, you erased my parents' memories, but you didn't get mine.
You really think a black suit is going to solve all your problems?
No, but looks damn good on you.
Welcome to the Men in Black. You will be with Agent H.
How do I look?
That looks like you don't know how to use a button.
He's just so yummy.
My queen, I pledge loyalty to you.
I'm not interested.
Come on. You want to do this? Let's go.
Move and I'll obliterate this entire island.
You don't think we should have spoken about this before I get all speech? Men in Black.
Welcome to our Men in Black International Spoiler Cast. So if you haven't seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, continue on, but this is your warning.
Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Okay, so just to give a quick rundown of the 3D, just in case you weren't listening to the 3D section, there's a little bit of a kind of Krista liked it, but it wasn't good enough to give it a good, and Jake liked it a little more to give it a good. Is there any spoilery scenes that you really want to talk about the 3D element?
To me, some of the best 3D was the Eiffel Tower scenes. When the Eiffel Tower was lit up, it looked really nice, and there was a scene where Agent H goes undercover to go gamble, and there's a great pop-out with a three-headed blue snake that they're kind of playing this kind of Russian roulette game where they stick their hand in this basket to get a card out of the basket without getting bit by the snake. And that was but they were too few of them and too little of it to be. It's a shame if Gary Gray shot this for 3D and did a good job, but the conversion just wasn't that great.
Yeah, well, like I said, I did like the floating sequence. I didn't really put context to why she was floating there. She's floating in a I guess it's like a portal from the hive or something, like a tunnel in space, or not really sure. And it's like very cloudy and misty, and she's floating towards this like tentacle creature. And I like the 3D in that. I don't like the fact that they cut away to like show the other people talking that are like talking over the scene. They didn't need to cut away and actually show those scenes. With just the audio, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And personally, I thought she was gonna like make it all the way to that creature and do something to the creature, but that's not what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie took a lot of weird dramatic turns that didn't work.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But they built up the relationship between Agent H and RZA, and that was a big nothing.
Yeah.
So let's get to the plot. The plot, the movie begins with like a scene with a young girl and the parents, and they're having an argument. You don't know what's going on, and there's the Men in Black come by, and then they interview the parents. And the kid is watching it and over the window, and then she sees an alien, but the Men in Black don't neuralyze her, and the alien is grateful and then leaves. It's a good little blue it's a cute little thing. I don't know how to describe it. How do you describe that blue alien creature baby one version, Krista?
Do you know that one episode of Jimmy Neutron where they have a bunch of cute aliens that then become monsters?
Nope.
Well, that is a very lowbrow reference, but it's basically that. It's basically like a cute little Furby type of a baby alien thing, and they reference it will become a killer later on. But Molly is just like helping it escape the Men in Black basically, and she's like nice to it or whatever.
Now, I thought this was actually really sloppy of the Men in Black to not, if they already knew that there was a little girl, why not go just double check,
I don't know. I guess they were like, the girl's asleep in the whatever. It's just a way to get her to know about it without being neuralized,
It's a plot contrivance. It's probably the least problem this movie has.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we get a time jump, and she's now her age, and she's now obsessed with aliens and using like her company computer to try to hack it, and she works at a call center, and she apparently tried to work for the FBI and CIA and such, but no one wants her. That she's like, I want to be part of the secrets thing, and everyone thinks she's crazy, and then eventually there's a hit about aliens, and she has to she just leaves work because she's like hacking the telescope of or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she could have had because even the time I'm in the theater going, if she could have toned down her Fox Mulder act, she would have had 10 times the amount of money to do her alien hunt. I mean,
right?
Geez.
If she had if she had just been in the FBI or the CIA, she would have so many more resources.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of being a minimum wage mixed slave for some call center.
So that's when she, figures out about the Men in Black and finds like a cloaked area. And the cloaked area, aliens comes back, and they're not supposed to come back. And she, gets a suit and gets a cabbie and goes into the Men in Black headquarters, pretending she knows what's going on. And you get a nice callback to the original movie with the big, I guess it's like a hallway with just one guy sitting there.
Mm-hmm. And the dog who is a regular in the old series, voiced by the same guy. And I love it. She thinks she snuck in, and they knew all along. That was a nice bit.
Yeah, the pug dog. Yeah, that is there. Mm-hmm. So they arrest her, and then they're ready to neuralize her. But then she has an interview, and then she explains herself, and apparently she really has to prove herself still. And Krista mentioned this in her review, that it really seems very sexist that she proved that they exist. She found them out. She did all this stuff, and they're still, I don't know, maybe you should be part of this.
Yeah, and whereas Will Smith's character, he just randomly chased down an alien and he gets recruited.
Yeah, exactly. You got that right, Krista.
Whereas, she's there's even a character in the film who is we should hire her. And Agent O is still maybe, I don't know.
Uh-huh, exactly. Of course, maybe they decided, okay, if something's rotten in London, we'll just send her. And if she gets killed, it's not like we lost a real agent.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Why do you send a random probie agent instead of someone you trust? Okay.
Yeah. She's you may be wearing a black shirt, but a suit, but you're a red shirt.
So we then get a scene with Agent H, and he's trying to get a weapon or something from another alien, and he's pretending not to be part of the MIB, and his cover is blown, and then he has to rescue or one of the aliens takes a drug, and so does he, and the other alien, female alien, I think, is oh, you have to rescue one of us, but if you rescue me, I'll give you anything you want. And then we cut, and we see that she wanted to have with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth is in his male Marilyn Monroe slapstick form, and he's hilarious.
There was really no point to that other than the punchline.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And H is back in headquarters, and he's just sleeping at his office, not really doing much. And Agent M wants to be part of this, and like, we heard about a new thing that's going on. I want to be part of this because there's a new alien in town, and he needs to be guarded, and because and H is like, yeah, I know him. I could do this, but I don't need help. But then they get to him, and it's like, oh, I'm an expert on this alien species, and it's like, wait a minute. Is there like a time jump here where she's been here for like 3 weeks? Because I thought it was all like the same day.
Yeah, no, she's lying out of her. She's not an expert. She's just trying to impress him.
Yeah.
And we also see it's kind of hard to catch, but we see the smoke creatures are going to kill the guy that they're guarding. Like they have the scene with the chess set, a live chess set, and are like, we need this guy killed, basically.
Yeah, and like the alien smoke thing, I guess we'll call them nebula creatures or nebula aliens because that's what they look like. Is that fine with y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're portrayed by a pair of French dancers, and they don't utilize their real life skills once in this movie.
That's
so. Yeah, there's two guys that are, and then they could turn into the nebula creatures whenever, and then they could like suck people into their. I don't know. It was kind of weird what powers these aliens had, right?
Yeah. They weren't really well defined. I mean, they're twins.
And they like turn things from liquid into solid. And like when we first meet them, they like melted a dude and then like took his face. Which like if you have the ability to take people's faces, I would have expected them to like take people's other faces at some point, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, and they made no reference of why they took this one guy's face and why they didn't take anybody else's.
So we get to this club, and the club has the alien that they're gonna keep track of, and M is actually aware that she's senses that they're trying to kill her or kill the alien, and H is just like, whatever, let's just have fun, and we're the Men in Black, but let's put our hair down and undo a button our shirts and just relax. And
he's supposedly friends with this alien, and they've done a bunch of shenanigans together. So he's just like, I'm gonna be drunk and party, and this alien is like, no, I need to tell you something. Listen to me. And M, meanwhile, knows something is wrong in the club and is like, listen to me. And H is just ignoring both of them.
Yeah. And at this point in the movie, I'm like, okay, either this guy has always been a bumbling idiot, or he's been neuralized so many times that he's been turned into a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I did not get that twist until it was revealed when he's like, why am I repeating myself? I did not get that. I thought what had happened was something along the lines of he royally up during his big hero moment, and he had covered for him, and his royal, like, basically, like, the way he's been acting is because he doesn't believe he deserves that hero title.
Oh, I was thinking either he'd been neuralized and it changed his personality, or he was always a up and he just got hero status because they could control him.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have like multiple lines throughout like the beginning of the movie where like people are like, you've changed, or like, it was that guy who was the hero, you're not the hero anymore, and like that. And I'm like, they're kind of hitting us over the head with this plot point.
And the whole thing with him and C, they were trying to set up Agent C to be the bad guy,
but like he was just like the annoying office coworker.
Yeah, he's actually the competent coworker.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a line like in the very beginning. He's like, "Are we supposed to be protecting the Earth instead of protecting the bags?"
Yeah.
So we do eventually get to the scene where those Nebula aliens kill or have a big fight with the MIB, and it's actually a pretty cool fight. Like they ripple the streets, and none of their weapons work, and like they keep finding weapons in cars, which is like kind of ridiculous but kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the fight that was like prominently featured in the trailer, which is why I thought the movie was going to be good. But like that's the only time it's good.
So the target is actually killed, and M gets a doohickey, like a little purple not spherical, cube thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the blue alien guy passes it along, and he tells her, I have to trust you. There's something wrong in Men in Black. He wants her to keep it a secret.
Mm-hmm. So he hands her off this, looks like a piece of rock candy with hieroglyphics on the various facets of points on it.
And M doesn't reveal this to anyone, and then they get back to MIB headquarters, and T, the boss of that headquarters, is like, "Oh, we got to figure this out. And then let's give me the weapon, and we need to figure out what to do." And what happens after that, Krista?
Wait, no. So like what happens is like because of the fact that the alien got killed that they were supposed to be guarding, they're like, why shouldn't C suggests like we should terminate both of these agents and neuralyze them basically. And T is like, give me one good reason why, and M goes, because there's a mole in MIB, because only a few people knew where he was, so clearly someone in MIB told his location. And so then they get away scot-free because of that. And then then it's like this weird, they try to set it up as C being the mole, but it never really convinces you, because you always know whoever they are setting up as supposed to be the bad guy is never the bad guy. It was never a twist. But the thing is,
yeah, at this point I knew who the mole was.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, there's not enough characters in MIB that we are important that it's a guessing game. There was only the options of it being C, of it being H, or of it being T. Those were the only three options, and it wasn't going to be H because he's one of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going to be
and
C.
I was telling myself, if they go with the stupid plot twist that Molly was actually neutralized and she is the alien, I don't give a I'm walking out.
Yeah, you're right, and it's kind of one of those things where C was just kind of annoying, but okay, there's not many of the people, but there's both too many characters and not enough characters that you care. And it's okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So they start to investigate what the thing is, and or how they get to the desert, or no, they went to go back to to the place where they found it, where the adventure starts, and that's when they find with a character called, they name Pawnee, and it's this little alien creature that is part of the Queen set, and he was the only survivor. He's the only witness, and I actually really like Pawnee. I thought it was going to be annoying, but he was cool.
I actually love Pawnee. He's hilarious. He's the comic relief character, and he's a good comic relief character.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he's useful, and the character's useful too.
Yeah.
Pawnee is Kumali Najan. I don't know how to pronounce that. But he's pretty good in this. And I was really worried it's going to be like the Great Kazoo and Flintstones and just like overtake the movie and just be really annoying. But he stole the movie and made it better, and he wasn't enough to make it like the focus. It was a good third character.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? The way they get to the desert is because like MIB is swamping them because C is looking for the
MacGuffin.
The
doohickey. Whatever the MacGuffin. He's looking for the MacGuffin and T calls them and is like, "This is not my operation, get out of there." And then they just kind of like press a random button on the motorcycle and it like shoots them off into the random desert.
Yeah, and there was like this whole thing with the alien with the or I guess human that had an alien which was a beard or something, and I that kind of alien thing. I felt like a lot of the jokes were a lot of visual gags that kind of went on too long, and that alien with the beard was just one of those jokes that just like I get it.
And these are the gags they've done in all three Men in Black. They're tired tropes of this series now.
Yeah, the alien is not what you think it is. It's something else, and it's just like, all right, I get it. Everything is an alien, or nothing's an alien, or whatever. It just kind of it's not funny anymore. It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, and that's only like relevant for like 2 scenes, so it's not really that important.
Exactly. There's no payoff to it.
So they're in the desert, and they try to figure out what to do. Well, they actually have a fight amongst each other, H and M. M is kind of weird because I keep thinking about M and James Bond, but I know that's not the same M. But my brain does that.
Well, while they're in the desert, they set off. They like open this doohickey and reveal that it is a gun with a super compressed star as its power source, and they shoot it on the low setting, and they create a giant cannon they create a giant cannon in the desert.
Yeah.
Canyon. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
So now they're like, okay, what are we going to do with this? And then out of nowhere, the little beard alien is like, oh, I got it. And then he got the thing and then went away. And they're like, how are we supposed to do with this now? And they're like, oh, I know. That guy works for this other alien that we know. And she is a weapons dealer. And we're going to, go back to her place. And
this weapons dealer is the one that aged at some point.
Yeah. The one that they've built up a whole lot. Like, they build up a whole lot of stuff in this movie, and it has very little payoff, if any.
And I was actually thinking that this was going to be the alien that H with earlier in the movie, but no.
Yeah, it's just a 3-armed alien with a striped wig.
Yeah. Well, they also had like a super major cheat in this fight. They have like a extended fight sequence which they lose horribly, and then the way they get out of it is because the alien that is Reese's Goonie is the alien that Molly met earlier in the movie. Which even a cheat that is foreshadowed is still a cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was clumsily handled. Especially since they telegraphed it. Because the minute you saw this alien, you go, hey, that's Molly's friend. All grown up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like they say, apparently Molly or M knows the language or remembers that said something. And then she, says that line and she mispronounces it, which is part of the clumsy aspect of this. And then like, what does that mean? And like what it meant was like, oh, what did it mean? I forget. It's kind of weird.
It's like, oh, he's like, I will kill someone after choosing in the most gruesome way possible. And it would have been great if like we had that character join the group after that, and then they had like, him be like the tank of the group or whatever. But it didn't happen. It was just kind of pointless.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked it if that character would have said, oh, that means I owe you a life debt. One day I will repay that life debt. And that would have made a little more sense,
Yeah, but there was none of that. It's like, oh, hi, Molly. Bye, Molly.
So they get back to the contraption, and then the MIB and T come by and stop at the right time for, really convenient, the nebula creatures, which I don't know what they're called. And they're like, okay, we're back. Cool. Here, we saved you. Now give me back the thing.
So like that moment when Molly is handing over the object to T, I'm like, no, don't do it. Like there's clearly something wrong in that moment.
And they get back to headquarters and everyone's celebrating, and it's like, I was thinking in my head, this better not be the end, because if this is the end, this is bad,
So here's the thing that I actually loved about this is that the reason it immediately felt wrong is because this is a scene that is supposed to happen at the end of a movie, and it was way too early in the movie for it to be the end. So it feels wrong, not because of any reason besides the fact that we are trained by movies that scenes happen at certain moments.
Mm-hmm.
And because it happened earlier, it felt wrong.
Mm-hmm. It felt like, okay, so the end, this is the beginning of the third act.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm happy that the characters actually did recognize this, and they're not, it wasn't something else that tipped them off. They're like, this isn't right. And they both recognize, yeah, this is not right. Something is happening. And then H is like, let's go get the contraption back from the office. And then the person in the office is like, it's not there. Which then it's like, obviously it's not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a moment where we get C and H on the same team, and they both realize that T is the bad guy, and they're like gonna work together on this, and they leave C behind so he can be the one to like manage if they up, because H says, if we fail, then you have to tell them that I am the mole, which was an interesting line.
And it came out of nowhere. I'm like, I was thinking to myself, okay, why would you do that? Because there's a real mole. You're assuming it's not C. You figure it's... So why are you covering for high T?
Well, the reason they give was like, if it's revealed that high T is the mole, then it will destroy Men in Black because he's the leader.
Well, the way this movie's going, too late! It already happened!
Yeah, well, H is still like not convinced. He's like, T is obviously the mole, but I know T and I don't believe it. So he has like this internal conflict about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they would have introduced more characters throughout the movie, and you get to know these characters, and you really, have a huge selection of who done it, who would have done it, it would have worked a lot better than it did here,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a movie that is so long, it really does so little. It just wastes so much time.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get a scene where it's like, oh, where did T go? Oh, T went to Paris, to the Eiffel Tower, and, oh, we got to go over there. So they go over there, and that's when M realizes that something is up with H, because he repeats the same line over and over again about how things happened, and it didn't work out. And that's when he realizes that he is neuralized. And we get like a cut back to the original scene where you see Agent T and Agent H.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Agent T, for this whole time, was working with the nebula creatures or something. Or another creature, right?
So here's the thing.
This was really confusing.
Okay, what's the thing is, T, as my understanding is, because T had the file and could manipulate the file, he convinced H that the nebula creatures were part of the hive. When they actually weren't part of the hive, they were fighting the hive and they wanted the gun to destroy the hive. T was already part of the hive. T was like taken over by the hive, and the hive had been having their agents in Men in Black. So the Hive knew everything Men in Black was doing.
Yeah, you're right.
Basically.
Okay, well, what I didn't understand was, or did High T get killed and he was replaced by an alien who was part of the Hive?
Basically, the Hive takes over people from the inside. So it's like still High T's original body, but it's no longer High T. It's at one point that character was a Men in Black agent, but like for the duration of the movie, he's no longer that Men in Black dude. He's the Hive dude.
Mm-hmm. That they should have explained that a little better.
Yeah, that was not explained well at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they kill the Nebula twins, it's like, oh, I guess. Then we get this exposition. Oh, I guess they were actually fighting the Hive. Man, I face palmed in the theater.
Yeah.
I was like,
whatever.
Oh God.
It's like a movie that has good ideas, but very bad execution of all those ideas. Yeah.
They needed a better editor.
Arguably a better writer, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, editors have saved a lot of poorly written movies and poorly directed, and they've also trashed well-directed movies.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, kind of editors are kind of the last line of defense in a movie.
So, getting back to the movie itself, T then it gets like on the top of the building or gets inside the Eiffel Tower and then opens up a portal, like a wormhole to the Hive. And then M gets flown in there after she tries to fight, and then H is fighting, and she's like floating in the wormhole. And I was thinking when I saw it, it's like, oh, that part wormhole is going to look good in 3D. So I'm glad that you confirmed that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that was like the only good thing that I was like, that was good.
So then Pawnee helps Agent M in the wormhole, and they get back and able to destroy T and the Hive that was coming out of the portal, and now everything's safe. And H is now O comes back and it's like, oh, everything's solved. It's like, yeah, T was, and then now you're going to be promoted, and then now you're going to go back to MIB America, and it's kind of a weird kind of ending there.
Well, the thing is clearly setting up a sequel. Like, it's not even an ending. It's just like, and now we're going to continue on kind of a thing. Because, like, it just ended on a weird note that is, like, open-ended. Yes. The two things that I liked about the ending was, one, we have this brief moment where, like, H is trying to get T to come back and T to like fight the alien from the inside, and there's this brief moment where you see T recognizes H, and it's like recognize it's like T's the character there, not the alien, and then immediately afterwards M comes and kills T. And, like, that rarely happens. It's usually one way or the other. It's usually the character is gone and we kill them, or the character is able to come back. It's rarely both. And I really like that they did that.
Oh, that was probably motivated by the... because I don't know if you remember that Liam Neeson gave an interview. God, it's been, almost a year now, and the internet came for his head.
Yeah.
They had petitions wanting him digitally removed from this movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this had anything to do with, because his character seemed to not be in the movie as much as he needed to be.
Yeah, that is a good point. And the other thing I kind of liked, but which I think they're not going to stick with, I think they're going to reverse this in future movies, is that there wasn't a big they didn't end up like in a romantic relationship by the end. But I don't think they're going to stick with that.
Oh, I don't even think there's going to ever be. I don't think there's going to be another Men in Black movie.
I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah, this did so poorly. I would be surprised.
And there's no post-credit scene. I did stick around just for the heck of it. There's nothing there. And there's no, like, one of the things I kind of forget about, that back in the Will Smith days, every time he had a big movie release, he also had a big song release it. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of miss that. Even the bad movies had good songs. And, like, Wild Wild West is a bad movie, but it had a good song. And
good song. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they really needed a Big Willie song.
Yeah, really, the only thing that saved this movie from being a total disaster was how good Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth are.
Yeah. They're like, I mean, it's obvious why they cast them why they rebooted this and cast them in it. It's just a pity they didn't utilize them. I mean, I don't know why. I'm sure there's a great movie to be made on why this went sideways. this just looks
documentary of why this sucked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not as bad as the Wolf of, well, not, what's that? I'm trying to remember those, Bonfire of the Vanities. I mean, it's not that bad of a disaster, but it's, well, box office wise, yeah, it is, but artistically, not quite there. But this movie just looks like there's a movie about why it doesn't work.
I think part of it's very hard to articulate because it's distinctly the lack of something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like there's not that spark, there's not that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to really place. It's not like due to one mistake, it's due to a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here going, and I can't believe this movie was directed by the same guy who directed The Negotiator and Straight Outta Compton.
Ooh, yeah. It's like a movie that should have been good, but wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, this smells of suit interference.
yeah, I think that's why they did the international. And let's get some actually box office numbers here. Right now, estimation is that opening weekend it's made about $28 million in the U.S. for the weekend.
Ooh,
and
that is bad.
So budget is approximately $110 million, and you could add another 100 or another 200 for marketing. So, but worldwide it's a $73 million, and the worldwide total right now is at 102. So it's just about maybe, no needs to make another 100 million to break even, give or take, maybe another 2 to be successful.
Yeah, a movie needs to make at least 3 times its budget to break even, because they also have to pay the theater. The theaters take a cut.
So it may still make some bank, overseas. The problem is it's such a busy market. The movie's coming out every week that it may not have the time. Because, next week is Toy Story, which I'm going to assume is going to be a pretty huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if it's... You go on.
Okay, and you've noticed since Rotten Tomatoes now scores are verified, I'm really starting to think Dan Murrell, when he accused studios of manipulating the Rotten Tomato numbers, and he used Gotti as an example, I'm starting to think almost all movies were being manipulated by bots on Rotten Tomatoes. Because if you notice, since the verification, none of these blockbusters have been getting fresh ratings. None of them.
I don't know, but it's not an atrocious movie.
Okay, it's tinfoil. Yeah, it's tinfoil hat territory. I know, but it's also, maybe it's just simply because this has been a horrible summer.
Yeah, nothing really has been that good.
Yeah, the only thing I really like this summer is Jim Jarmusch's zombie movie.
Well, I don't know if it's just the case that people don't go to matinees, but there were only like 5 people in the theater when I went. And It was like the opening day of the movie.
Yeah, there were a dozen at my screening.
And I went to an early screening and that was full because that's an early screening and it's free. So, but it's, I think Jake might be right. They may not, let's see if it has legs, if it keeps making money and overall, if it doesn't, then this might be the last Men in Black movie. They may just convert it to be animated or something and just cut their losses at live action. I kind of think what Krista was saying, that what it's missing is that, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it has its moments, but like it doesn't have like huge laughs. Like it's like, okay, little chuckles here and there. It has its moments here and there, but it was like, I wasn't like laugh out loud crying funny,
It doesn't, it also, I think it doesn't have heart. It doesn't make me care that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very formulaic. It took no chance.
It makes me think more. It makes me think more about tropes than it makes me think about characters. You don't want a movie making you think about plot points and tropes.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And the action was fine. It wasn't, it's a fine movie. It's not terrible. It's not the worst movie of the year or anything. It's just disappointing. I feel it should be better.
And it's not even the worst movie of this series. That goes to the second one.
Why don't you like the second one?
Oh, there's been so much done about it. Okay, first of all, they had to completely come up with a whole new ending because they were scheduled to shoot on the Trade Center the day of the attacks.
Ooh, I did not know that.
But so was Jackie Chan in a movie, and they were fighting it out over who was going to film. So neither one was filming. So towers come down, and all of a sudden they're having to scramble, and you're going to meet the release date. You're going to meet the release date, and it was just it was such a disaster, and none of it worked. The whole movie dragged. There's one of those things I should have just walked away and came back a year later, and I think things and audiences were bummed out, and it was a terrible movie. They didn't salvage anything out of it.
They also retconned a lot. I was very annoyed by the fact that it was a whole thing about him being with his wife, and then they were just like, oh yeah, they broke up. Like, what?
Yeah.
And John Knoxville was just atrocious in this. I really don't like him at all in this movie. As an actor, yeah, he's just jackass, but I mean, as an actor, ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, just in case you guys didn't know, we're not big fans of this movie. Men in Black International. We all gave it a 6. It's just,
and we're all rounding up, by the way.
We're not trying to be jerks. We're not trying to hate it. We didn't absolutely hate it. There's a lot of issues here.
I mean, yeah, I went in wanting to like this movie. I just couldn't.
Yeah. Hey, we were professional. We sat through it.
So, some fun facts right now. The previous Agent M was Michael Jackson.
Ooh, didn't know that.
And Patrick Warburg was the previous Agent T in Men in Black 2.
I always wonder, there are only 26 letters in the alphabet. There has to be more than 26 agents. How do they deal with that?
Well, maybe there's an Agent AA and a Triple C.
Also, I saw this movie with my friend, and she mentioned, she was like, even though H got promoted at the end, she wanted that C to be promoted so he could be high C.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
They had high tea, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of, I think they could have done a little more here. I think we all kind of like, okay, this might be a fresh movie in the summer, something different. We haven't had a Men in Black movie in like 10 years almost. So yeah, it's just kind of it's there. It's not terrible. It's just kind of mediocre. It's alright.
I wanted it to be good. I so badly wanted it to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, because this has been such a lackluster summer, and it had all the ingredients. I mean, a good director, pair great leads with chemistry, a very funny sidekick character, actor, voicing, who's put out great performances. If you guys haven't seen The Big Sick, go. And I can't wait for Stuber.
Now, I kind of think people may, look back to MIB 3 with a little more kindness, because I really like 3, and I think 3's better than this.
I like 3 too.
I mean, it just kind of goes to show. It goes to show you can't make a good movie by plugging in a bunch of objects that you think make a good movie. Like, just because you have a good director and a good lead actors and a franchise that you think will make people turn out and you put in a formulaic plot, it doesn't necessarily make a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually care about the movie for a reason other than to make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie seemed like it had no other purpose but to grab cash.
Now, this is a soft reboot. We kind of mentioned this before. Do you think they should have just gone all the way and just made it a complete reboot and just start everything from fresh? And I think that might have worked a little better, No,
I mean, I don't think that. I think it's fine. It's just like in the same universe with different agents, which I think is a fine premise, but they just didn't execute it well.
They just needed to break the cycle and not rehash the first movie to ever diminishing returns. The third one did that a little bit, not much. James Brolin was a nice addition, and the time travel bit was great. Spoilers.
It would have been great, because we have this really good setup of there's something wrong in Men in Black, and it turns out to just be one guy. But it would have been better if it was a systemic issue. If it was, you can't trust anyone.
Oh, yeah, like the Hive is Hydra.
Yeah,
Yeah, Soldier did the same thing 100 times better.
Okay, so I guess that's a wrap for this review for MIB International. It's not a terrible movie. It's just kind of there. And, it's not... You can probably just wait to rent it. Watch it on Netflix or something. You don't need to go to theaters for this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to. It's not a theater movie. If it's on TV, you watch it.
Go see the third one. Rent it, stream it.
Now, I think the comics are very dark and gritty, and that might be a way you could remove this and make the Men in Black scary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of go back to the source material.
Because when you think about none of the Men in Black movies really explore that in depth how up it is that there's a concept of a secret society that deals with aliens and just wipes people's minds whenever it's inconvenient to them.
Yeah, and they could also kind of borrow some of the stuff from the TV show UFO.
All right, so that's basically it for us. Again, 6 out of 10 for all of us, and it's all right. 3D, it's not terrible. It's just meh. So that's it for us. Bye.
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 All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
It'll put it everywhere. Just look for us 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.